sacrifice.
No, it's not. I don't believe it.
And Ricard's like, who put a Lucari sacrifice in my deck? He's like, did you do it? I told you not to do it.
He's like, stop. No, you.
I would love if they just mulligan quest and won the game. That'd be awesome.
That honestly, for me and Lucari Sacrifice, has been my highest success. However, it did get some new fuel. So Solarium is one of the big ones that comes to mind for me, is draw 3 cards and then discard 3 cards as it gets drawn.
Wow.
So it draws 3 cards, but at the end of the turn, if you haven't played them, you discard those 3 cards. So one of the problems that's been there for Discard Warlock is literally the amount of cards you have to discard. It's difficult, but with the Solarium, you complete half the quest with just that 1 card.
Here you go, 3 cards.
Yep. And you're just like, sure.
Yeah, well, those cards discard more cards.
Yeah, you know, those ones are a bit disappointing.
Right, but we
tap.
Can also discard.
Whoa.
That kind of defeats the purpose, right?
Yeah, you tap.
Soulfire and Lucari Fellhound's purpose is to discard, so they are fulfilling their purpose in a way.
Did you see Allie's face?
She's like,
what the heck?
What? Are we really going to lose to this? Because there's another deck with infinite resources?
Exactly. So it's not quite as strong, I'd say, as the way the Pogo Hoppers were.
Oh, sorry.
But it's still just enough stuff. But honestly, they may have kept a more important card with Omega Agents.
No.
Because Blood River Gul'dan's going to bring back a bunch of 3/2 imps, right?
Yes, but you have the hero power.
Omega Agent is 5 mana, and when you have 10 mana, the Omega effect happens, and it summons 2 copies of itself. I'm thinking Soul Infusion could be in here.
Oh.
I'm thinking just at 5 mana,
I like
that card will summon 12 attack and 15 health worth of minions. Like, that card can get pretty ludicrous.
Yeah, that means Omega Agent in its final form can take down 1.5 Annoyatrons.
It kills Deathwing pretty effectively.
That's so. I guess we're gonna have to, disagree on the definition.
Discards.
You know what I would love if it was like they even had some weird backup plan of like Howl Fiend and Treachery, and then like they could discard themselves, and then when they finish the quest, they can discard their opponent.
Oh, I am guessing that is in here.
Well, they have Demonic Project, so very clearly they thought about Mech Cthulhu and disrupting it. Demonic Project is a 2-mana Warlock spell that says transform a random minion in both players' hand into a demon.
Yeah.
So Mech Cthulhu decks tend to be very lean because you really need to have Mech Cthulhu as your last minion, and you need to have everything set up, and you usually need a full turn on your. You can't just like set it up and then pass. So you can Demonic Project at the opportune time, but we haven't really seen the Mech Cthulhu decks outside of Taiwan.
The other cool interaction I've seen with Demonic Project is playing it, and then when your opponent actually uses the demon, you just got Sacrificial Pact in your deck. You destroy a demon for 0 mana and you gain 5 health. Demonic Project turns one of their minions into a minion that you can destroy for free.
That is creative. They have double Demonic Project. One isn't enough.
Right now, not the most opportune time to Demonic Project, and especially like in this matchup, it tends to be fairly weak because there's not super key minions in your opponent's side. But this opens the portal.
Wow. Oh yeah. And now the quest is finished. Portal can come online next turn. Allie Strauss, no phase whatsoever, but she's in for some pain.
I would say a downgrade to the Giggling Inventor.
Yeah. Yeah.
Very rare that you see Gul'dan attack.
Yeah, do you even know what he says when he attacks?
I have no idea.
He says suffer, and then he attacks.
Just old man with a card. Suffer!
Well, you know, in the very beginning days of Control Warlock and stuff, you know, when I was like playing Control Warlock with Skull and Minari, I like played at least a Trailblazer and I got like I forgot how I upgraded it somehow. Like I upgraded the weapon attack and I heard it. I was like, oh, that's weird.
You know, you can Toxicologist now. Get rid of those. So like Alaneth, for instance, right?
Yeah.
So run out of cards, you Toxicologist. Start whacking them for 1.
Yeah. So
relieve the fatigue.
The Alaneth Mage can just play Toxicologist, but you know, if it's in the bottom half of your deck anyways, you're still in trouble.
So the coolest thing I like about the Nether Portal is that it actually separates your minions for Meteor. They have to choose one side of the portal.
Oh, yeah. Cone of Cold, Betrayal, like, you know, all these, like, positioning, damage removal stuff.
I think it's one of the coolest things about the portal. It stays on the board.
Yeah. It also makes Direwolf Alpha really impossible to play.
Yeah, you know, I mean, as is the nature of your discard Warlock deck.
It's so beautiful. It's golden. These are men of culture, if I've ever seen one. They have golden Lucari Sacrifice. They actively sabotage their own collection to have a piece of history, which is to win with Quest Warlock for the first time.
And Twisting Nether plus the way the portal works is a nice little interaction there.
This is awesome.
This is a sight to behold.
And they have so much like time, you know? The big downside, of course, is losing Buddy for Gul'dan, because eventually what really matters is being able to have these resources and having the Death Knight. But hey, I mean,
we've got two Omega Agents for that.
The thing is, if you can win with that Death Knight, that's just another, you know, proof that you don't necessarily need to be supported by these other cards that could win. Like, if you play Druid decks and you put in enough good Druid cards, you can pretty much fill in the last 8 to 10 cards with whatever silly win condition and still come out on top a lot of the times. One deck that I played to Legend in the past couple days was Star Aligner Druid. And it was like, all I did was just play a lot of Druid cards, but eventually, like, once in a while, I Star Alinered them because I just had good ramp and whatnot and overpowered my opponents. And I think, like, it's a similar concept. But if you don't have Bloody Gul'dan, you just have to win through the quest.
Look at Radio. He's like, oh, 3,200 dust we spent.
It's like, why did I spend 3,200 dust?
Why did I say yes?
Or, you know, maybe another question is, did they open the Lucari Sacrifice, perhaps, from their free legendary back in the Journey to Ungoro days?
Oh.
There you go. Now, maybe there's, like, you know, Breeding Hours like, I finally have use for this card that I opened so long
for a Mega Agent. Life total is dwindling for Redgerwins in Korea, though.
Yeah, and they don't have as much easy ways to gain life. Although they did shut down their opponent's Dry Whisker armor.
Yeah, it's a lot of imps.
There's a second Whisker armor, so 10 life.
Brawl as well. They're in the drawn cards business.
Speak to me.
Yeah, losing the Bloody River Gul'dan was really brutal. Ooh. Mega Assembly.
It's a nice way to start refueling a bit.
And it's okay. You should you weren't good enough to. Oh wait, this is brilliant. When you discard your hand, you have no other way to win. What do?
You copy theirs.
Copy your opponent's hand.
Nice.
Redgerwins is a genius.
So
or he's the most foolish Hearthstone player you've ever seen. But I respect a man that can dance with that line of disaster.
Yeah. I'm in the same boat here.
This will be a mercy.
They're going to try to just spend as aggressively as possible.
Yeah, now they want to dump their hand, because then they can just Azalina and go toe-to-toe, and they can shuffle more cards in their deck so they can buy more time. And, you know, if you're Ally, you don't want a dead man's hand right now. You want to prioritize removing stuff. And, like, playing Lich King. Like, those are what you care about. What mechs are in Warlock? Because very clearly they're going to get a chance to Omega Assembly.
I don't think Warlock has a mech.
There's no way. Really?
I think they have 0 max, actually. I can't think of one.
Oh my goodness. Allie is squinting so hard at her screen. She's just like, what do I do? Do I set up a weapon here? But the weapon is better for, like, you know, more minions on the board. Do I just play Harrison Jones for tempo so I can fight back and try to pressure my opponent? How do I win from here?
That is the squint of impending disaster where you're like, am I actually dying to Nether Portal right now? Like, this is such a rare thing to see.
What now?
Oh, man. Blood Razor. A Mega Agent. And you're going to force another Brawl.
That's a lot of stuff.
We are one.
I thought it was just gonna say
We are one.
at first. Yeah, that's not so good against this much health on board. The brawl makes this a lot better, though.
So now when you can brawl, but this is your second brawl, now you actually do kind of want to shuffle your hand with Dead Man's Hand.
I'm worried.
But you can also throw away a couple things that you don't necessarily want. Like, shield slams are a little bit tricky. Second brawl straight up! That means they're out of brawls! If they're not shuffling Dead Man's Hand into their deck, that means they plan on winning the game before, before fatigue.
And the actual bigger consequence to this was the hidden benefit that Redgermans is built in here with Azalina.
Oh, yeah.
It means that the fatigue possibility is that much thinner. Like, now you're having to fight against the imps turn after turn after turn, while they also get to shuffle extra cards back and forth.
So you can't blame the Warrior and Team America for thinking, well, we could just outlast them. Eventually, they life tap so much more than we have. We'll win in the fatigue because we can gain life and they can't. But when you have Azalina in here, and you have this, mystery of closed deck list, that becomes so difficult to account for. Because I have no idea what this Warlock deck has, and clearly Team America does not. Yeah, I don't need this Doom Guard.
Down to 12, though. I mean, that is starting to get to a scary life total.
Omega Assembly.
Another big part of the Azalina here is the information you get. So you know exactly what your opponent is generally planning to do afterwards.
But I'm also kind of happy to see this because 2 Shield Slams and Execute does not mean that they'll be able to deal with my imps for very long. And now that I have unconditional removal through Execute, I can deal with his their Lich King. They won't play Omega Assembly. I'm a little bit sad about that. I just want to see what mechs that they can get. What if they get Mech-Cthulhu? They have ways to discard their hand.
Well, that's the is you want a Dead Man's Hand prior to the Omega Assembly, right?
I don't know. I think I want to shuffle more stuff in to give myself more time to have this portal maxim.
You could be right. The thing about it is if you shuffle in the Omega Assembly, when you draw it, it's 3 mechs that you draw at once, rather than drawing them one at a time.
That is fair, but
there's a trade-off either way.
There's a trade-off. You get the mechs now versus you're stuck with what you get later. And you do decrease your fatigue by 2 because you shuffle an extra 2 extra cards in there.
It's looking like, to me, like they're planning on winning before that as well.
That is true. The 12 life is very concerning. Lich King.
It's a win. I think sometimes you just gotta throw a Hail
I think
Mary.
they want like Frostmourne to just go face every turn because I don't think there's a lot of taunts in there. I think that's actually the best card they can get. Army of the Dead.
You can get back. You can Omega Assembly and get mechs. You could Dead Man's Hand the mechs back into your deck, and then Army of the Dead them out.
Hey, it's like the Boom Ship, or actually it's like Flark's Army.
And then a Mind Control tech appears. You've seen all these fantastic synergies and wonderful cards, and suddenly a Mind Control tech.
It makes sense given that when you play Lucard Sacrifice, you're often just going to lose the board anyways. So Mind Control techs make a difference. They pick up the Frostmourne. I mean, they can just pressure Warrior out of the game over the course of 3 turns.
They can Dead Man's Hand a Frostmourne back into the deck.
Oh.
Yes!
And they know their opponent has Harrison, though. That's a problem.
No!
But do they know that they have Frostmourne? They don't. They can wait for the Harrison to be played and then Frostmourne. This is one of the silliest games of Hearthstone I think I've ever seen. And that's saying a lot.
This other warpath really bad.
Is it time to assemble? I mean, your hand is very light. You only have 6 cards, but you do miss out on the hero power.
I think you need the armor. They want the shield. They're just putting the shield slams in. They're like, yeah.
What armor are you going to get? You don't even have your death thing. It looks like they got the upgradable Framebot, the Coppertail Imposter,
The 6 mana
Rush.
with magnetic, right?
I think it's just Rush. And
Is it
then
just
Death
Rush?
Rattle to add 2 1/1 sparks to your... I think that's what it is.
I actually don't recall if it's magnetic. I feel like it's magnetic.
If it is magnetic, that will be pretty nuts for the stealth minion.
Oh boy.
Oh, weaponized pinata. Maybe that's the way you can get bailed out here. Emphasis on the maybe.
Yeah, Meat Wagon I don't think is getting the job done right now.
You can magnetize it to pull out a big minion. I still haven't seen the direct win condition for this warrior deck. Like,
I think it's just attrition.
it's just
I think
it's
that's the
actually
game
just
plan.
dead man's hand.
Like, you want to be able to play against aggressive decks, not decks that have these weird concoctions of resource generation, right?
Right? Yeah, I think so.
Like, if you're playing against a zoo deck, you could realistically just blow up all their cards.
Yes.
When you're
that
playing
much is
against
true.
Nether Portal, you're like, these aren't the 3/2s I was picturing. That is one of the saddest shield slams that I've ever seen. And Red Gerwin's deck has shield slams in it, and they don't have a way to generate armor.
More max war gear. Okay.
That's a Ziliax. Is that it? Nope, it's a 2/6 one. I just saw the lifesteal and I got really excited. And then it's just 5-minute 2/6 taunt lifesteal.
So, you know, meat wagon. We can have a meat versus meat battle here.
Just shield slamming.
I mean, that's intentional, just to dump the hand because their hand is too thick. Sonya Shadow Dancer, all the rush minions they can get. If they get Dr. Boom Mad Genius, then all their rush minions with Sonya will have so much synergy. Okay, so we've seen demons, we've seen mechs, we've seen elementals, we see ninjas. You know, undead, we've seen the Lich King himself. At this point, you know, we're just one Mechathune victory short
Oh
of,
my
you know, the
goodness.
whole shebang.
I think the end is here.
We have a Mega Assembly.
What do you get?
Iliax. Steel Rager.
Another pinata. Infinite pinatas with the Sonya.
Can they Army of the Dead something?
They gotta, right?
I mean, that's kind of what I was hoping for the Mega Assembly combos that you were talking about.
I wonder.
They have taunts in their deck. We've seen Direhorn Hatchling, for example, in the previous game.
Was that from Stonehill?
Oh, it could be. You're right. It could be. I do think that they have. I do remember seeing it. I just don't remember if it was from that.
This is a struggle.
They could have played Sonya to eliminate another minion on board, because then you would have gotten a 1/1 back. You would trade it a couple times over. But I guess you could still do the same thing by hero powering Shield Slam. It gives you only 2 mana remaining, which means I guess you play the 1/3.
You know, if your mana crystals just kept ticking up by 1 a turn, I can see how this would work. But they just can't spend 10 mana a turn. Or they can't spend more than 10 mana a turn. Like, that's like been the big detriment. You just have too much stuff.
Frostmourne, 12 damage. Wow, Gerwin's high five. Team Korea guarantees the victory over USA. And more importantly, they did it with style. I have never seen Lakari Sacrifice Quest Warlock win a game, let alone win one on a tournament stage.
I don't know if I've ever seen it play a game, but I just did, and it won.
I think your win rate legitimately goes up when you mulligan the quest, because then you actually have another card that can help you fight for the board.
It's really hard to discard 6 cards.
Yeah,
But if you do, we see what happens.
For reference, when Ungoro first